Happy five-star defensive tackle Saturday. Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Some nice breaking news for Ohio State. A five-star old friend has jumped into the portal with multiple years of eligibility. Left David Stone is in the portal. We're going to break him down a little bit. Went to Oklahoma his first year. It's going to be a kid that would add a ton of talent to the room, a kid that I would love for us to add. I think he's grown up, he's matured. He had some major flashes last year. Was dominating Oklahoma spring practice. This is a must get for Ryan Day. See if we can pull this thing off. He will be pricey, but I think he's worth it. And he's a guy that, again, he's not a 1 year rental. This is a multiple year kid at a position of severe need. So, oh boy, this thing is getting interesting for Ohio State. So, as always, if you guys enjoy our content, please give us a follow on Apple Podcasts. I'm going to switch it up today. That is something that a lot of you guys have been doing for us. We appreciate it. Leave us a 5-star review. I had a slew of people do it yesterday. I appreciate you guys that have done it. It's an easy way to really help us out. But also give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Again, you guys have been doing that. We've been growing in record numbers month over month. By far, the number one Ohio State podcast we have been for multiple years now, and it's not going anywhere. We're working on a Saturday, so it's going to stay that way for a long time. But we just appreciate you guys and your support. Also, as we pay it forward, our super chats go to pay it forward, our fund for our military, our police officers, our firefighters, our veterans, first responders. We appreciate all of you guys. Again, thank you for all that you guys do. And again, that gives you access, the pay it forward super chats give you access to a complimentary access to BuckeyeScoop.com. Again, that's our message board, is where we started everything from. It's where we live all day, except for the hour that we podcast today. So I encourage you guys to reach out to us. And if you guys aren't, you guys should subscribe. It is an absolute incredible source of Ohio State knowledge. It is the number one source of Ohio State knowledge. And it's where we're at literally all day. So if you love the show, that thing is 100 times better than the show, because we're on it literally all day. So we'd love to see you guys on there and join the fray of the number one Ohio State site of all time. So with that being said, got to bring in my good friend Nevada. The transfer portal is interesting because it gives Ohio State a chance to potentially reunite with some old friends that might have made a mistake on the recruiting trail. David Stone seems to be one of them. He's left Oklahoma after one season. And they also have a slew of offers out to offensive tackles, defensive linemen, very active. But hey, when the rich can get richer, it's good. It's a good time to be an Ohio State fan. What are your thoughts on David Stone entering the portal?
Well, David Stone's kind of an interesting one because, you're talking about a 5-star kid, super highly regarded coming out of high school. And, Ohio State was the runner-up. Went to Oklahoma. Ohio State was in it to the very end. Didn't get the commitment. Went to Oklahoma. And I can tell you from talking to the people in Oklahoma, the Oklahoma insiders, they are really surprised, borderline shocked that he left, because they thought he was, a very promising underclassman, a guy that they had a big future at Oklahoma, and this is considered a real big blow to them. So this is not one of those ones where a guy went, flamed out. They're glad to have him gone. The people that follow Oklahoma for a living are saying, this one hurts, and so somebody's going to be getting a really good player. And as with the SEC rules are, if you're not a graduate student, you can't transfer within the SEC. So that eliminates a lot of potential suitors for him. So now Ohio State's right there in the mix, re-engaging. As you mentioned, this guy's got, multiple years of eligibility left, has shown flashes while he was there at Oklahoma. But, can Larry Johnson get the best out of him? I'd like to think so. And certainly, as we've talked about, many times, it's a position of need. It's a position of something they're going after, really heavily. But, look, Ohio State's not messing around in the portal. I mean, they're actually out there offering offensive tackles, despite the fact that we've got a bunch of offensive tackles and offensive tackles that can play, and they've proven they can play. They're out there offering offensive tackles, the young guys with multiple years of eligibility, because they're just, the philosophy that I keep hearing from the room is that you just can't have enough offensive tackles. Offensive tackles can obviously slide inside and play there as well. And they just want to get the best guys. They just want to accumulate the best, the most amount of talent that they possibly can, put it in the room, let them fight it out, and whatever the product ends up being on the field, it's going to be the best that Ohio State could possibly have to offer. So excited about, look, you've got Troy Pikes, the kid from Georgia Southern. You've got Bo Atkinson from North Carolina. You've got Demarion Thomas from Vanderbilt. Um, I mean, they're not messing around. So if you're not hearing activity from Ohio State, trust me, it's there. It's like a duck. It's kind of quiet on the top, but there's a lot of shuffling like crazy under the water. Ohio State is going after it super hard in the second portal, not taking any prisoners, and they've got their first guy visiting. I believe it's on Monday with Bo Atkinson, and we'll see what they come up with. But it's not going to be for lack of trying.
Yeah, I think that the way these guys are positioning themselves is they are really fortifying. And there seems to be a couple of different methodologies as to what they go after. They go after some guys that are instant, star, Max Claire, ready to go type guys, but they also go after guys that are maybe younger guys that might have played at a lesser level as a freshman that could come here and develop and be a depth player for maybe a year and then maybe potentially be a starter, like some of these offensive tackles. I think that something that was interesting that happened with this new transformation of the offensive line room is you now have 3 offensive line coaches who really recruited all different areas and, let's be real, all different talent levels. So, if you have a chance, if you have Charlie Dickey, who's from Oklahoma State, and you have Marcus Johnson, who's at Purdue last year, they might have saw some guys that they thought could play and some guys that they might have missed out on at their levels, and they might have known those kids, and they might have been, I don't want to say they were, unknown to Ohio State, but, you only go after so many kids. And the thing about it is you only go after, in general, kids that are going to kind of be in your talent scope, so, and with the offensive line thing, I mean, there's so many guys that develop when they're 19, 20, 21. I mean, you'll watch the draft and, I think one of the top tackle prospects is from Missouri, and then there's some that are from smaller schools, and they're kind of from all over the place. So it's an interesting world with the offensive line, but sometimes these kids they go somewhere, they play as a freshman. I think they show kind of the analytical attributes that you'd like in terms of the size, the speed, the movement ability, and you get to see that on tape versus Division I caliber guys. And so all of a sudden you're like, well, we should go offer that guy and see if he wants to come join a program. And again, like, does that mean that he's going to have the same role as the current players, or is he going to come here and potentially, compete and have to win a role? And that's something that's interesting to you, because like with Ethan Oniono, we got him for 1 year. Can Austin Seyerveld hold down right tackle? I think he can. But behind him, I mean, you've got Ian Cole. Is he better suited for guard? Is he good enough to pass block on the edge? I think Philip Daniels has got, he's got some steps to take too. He's young. He's very young. So by no means is it, anything other than, you got to have competition, because next year that left tackle spot's going to be wide open, and you don't want to potentially go in there with a bunch of guys that you're not sure about that can pass block. So if you can go get a guy this year and have him spell, or have him, work at right tackle with Austin Seyerveld, and then you've got the competition at left tackle next year, I think that'd be great. But yeah, the D-line recruiting, clearly they want to amplify what we have in the 2 rooms between the defensive ends and the defensive tackles. They probably sit in 1 room as I think about it, but they, why not make it unfair? As you said, Nevada, like, again, the glorious thing about what Ohio State did last year and what they accomplished under Ryan Day is they have the exclusive ability to talk about the role that depth played in winning a national championship, the role that the rotation played, the role that every man was ready and everyone was ready to go. And frankly, they they dealt with these catastrophic injuries that would sink most teams. And I'm talking about the teams I played on. If we lost our left tackle, we would have been toast for the most part. Let alone our center. We would, like, that would have been like in 2005, we would have lost Rob Sims and Nick Mangold. We would have been done. I'm just telling you, I know the guys that were behind him, and nice guys, but that's Nick Mangold's a first round pick. Like, you're not going to replace him with any sort of same level of play, but Ohio State was able to do it. And I think that that is something that is really I'm going to click into full screen. I think that's something that really speaks to, you know, like just having a different level of salesmanship when it comes to the portal. Because most people are going to sell that you can play right away and we're going to give you this amount of money, whatever. But like Ohio State could sell like this is what it's going to take to play in the NFL. We played 16 games last year. Like us, it was like us and Notre Dame were the only two that did that, and it was a long season, but we came out on top. And honestly, like as talented and great as we were also the freshest team in the tournament. It looked on field like we're the freshest. I know the guys' bodies were probably beat to crap and they felt terrible, but I think that that's something that when you try to sell a depth position to a guy that is coming from a place where he's a starter, that's an easy way to do it. So I think that Ryan Day has been masterful, and these guys just got their championship rings. I don't think it's any sort of accident that they make sure that they have their rings right before they hit the road for spring, and these transfer portal kids start coming in for visits. So they put a speed on the Jostens order to make sure it's delivered the week before all these kids start taking official visits in the portal, which start Monday with Bo Atkinson. But Nevada, what are your thoughts on this? Because again, I think Ohio State is in a uniquely advantaged situation, and I love it because again, like we want them to be as good as they can be, and they're trying to add some really good players, and it's going to be an interesting month. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think Ohio State portal recruiting is kind of entering a new phase, and I think you've kind of identified it, which is, up until now, Ohio State has really looked for, finished product, kids that can come in and instantaneously, obviously, start Ohio State, start, do whatever. And you look at a Will Howard, and Will Howard's kind of a hybrid. And Will Howard, obviously, an established player, very much so, but he came to Ohio State and was able to flourish under different coaching, a different system, different things. So, had he stayed at Kansas State or done whatever, maybe he is a career 60% passer or whatever it is. But then he comes to Ohio State and he goes for 74%. And I think Ohio State's mining the portal right now for kids that have shown flashes. So you've got more data on them than just a high school kid. You've got a good pedigree. You've got tape on them. But they're going to I think this is the next level of portal recruitment, which is when you're going not only for the finished product, but you're going for these unpolished gems that you think can be good for you with proper coaching, with proper training, with proper eating, et cetera, et cetera. And, some of them are from bigger schools, some are from smaller schools, but they all have been kids that have been on Ohio State's radar. Ohio State's familiar with them or have people that are familiar with them, and they're willing to take some chances on that. And to me, it makes sense because you just think about how difficult it is to project from high school to college. And, these kids, at least you've had 1 year of some sort of 1 or 2 years of development, maturation, just more data on them. So maybe your bust rate on that is lower. So I think you'll see more and more of this happening, but we're kind of seeing this strategy play out in front of our eyes right now with some of these kids that Ohio State's bringing in that are clearly not designed to be starters right off the bat. And that's different for Ohio State because Ohio State hasn't been doing that in the past, but they're doing it now. And I think it's I think it's something that we're going to expect to see more in the future as Ohio State tries to, we've got the 105-man roster, whatever it is, try to eliminate your high school mistakes, get kids that you've had in college, try to get the gun closer to the target, as it were, and have fewer and fewer recruiting misses. And I think that's what's playing out right now with Ohio State recruiting.
I think that that's one of the key things that they're really trying to do is kind of fix some of the misses. Because again, when you just study the offers going out, you can tell there's some guys that you need to be concerned about in terms of, are they going to pick it up or are they going to wash away? Are they going to ever really contribute here? Because when you start offering some offensive tackles, I mean, we got a lot of good-looking kids in there, but can they play? And then the thing that I layer on top of that is the fact that, well, those guys were Justin Fry guys, if not Greg Sudwara guys, if they're older, but which is pretty much over with at this point. But I think that, when you've got a new position coach, they might have a different thought on a guy. Again, it's just like with the NFL draft or with whatever. I mean, you'll see the same player get evaluated different ways by different GMs, different folks. I mean, me and Nevada can disagree on if somebody's good or not. It happens all the time, and I think that maybe some of these guys might not be to Tyler Bowen's liking, so he's going after some guys that he likes better. And again, I said it the way Ryan added a guy from Oklahoma State, so he's recruiting Texas like crazy, Oklahoma, kind of the surrounding areas, but especially Texas, and Marcus Johnson from Purdue, and Purdue notoriously has been really good in Texas. Maybe not as much as they used to be, but back in the old days, that's where they got Drew Brees. That's where they were like killers in Texas for some reason, and that was where they would get a lot of 2 and 3 star Texas kids to come up to Indiana and play, and really successful. But I really like these offers. It'll be interesting to see some of the NIL stuff. It'll be interesting to see if we can get a tackle and an end. I think would be the meta is to get one of each, because they're just not happy with the depth. And Bo Atkinson, if he signs up, he's probably our best end. I mean, he's probably as good, if not better, than Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson. But it'll be close. I mean, I think they're all kind of comparable players. But he had 7.5 sacks last year, so he got after the quarterback playing in the ACC, and he had sacks versus South Carolina in the SEC game. So I would love to add pass rush. I think that's probably Ryan Day's biggest concern is rushing the passer, stopping the run with the DTs. But it's funny, like you haven't seen any other offers other than offensive tackle, D-line. I mean, no DB offers, no linebacker offers. It's like everywhere else is pretty much set. And that's kind of what we projected. I was a little surprised by the offensive tackle offers, but again, when you go through a season last year where you lose Josh Simmons and then you lose Seth, and then in the off season you lose Zed Mikulski, who's going to start at right tackle for Indiana, and George Fitzpatrick, who's going to start at left tackle for Kansas State, you got to keep finding veterans, and you got to keep finding guys that are ready to play, because if something happens to Ethan Onianwa, you're down to Austin Seyerveld at left tackle, and then you probably put Philip Daniels in at right tackle. And Philip Daniels is a really good-looking kid, 6'6", big, tall kid, but he only started 4 games last year, and he's really young. So is he ready to roll in prime time? I don't know. I mean, Donnie Jackson had 50 starts last year when they put him out at left tackle, so there was a little bit of an adjustment there, but Donnie was pretty. He was nails down the stretch after the Penn State game. Best pass blocker in the country for my money, and really had a great job in the playoffs, and a big reason why we won the national title. He's a legend in Ohio State folklore because of what he did. So yeah, I am really excited about this. Nevada, I know that you did not watch any of the Michigan spring game, but your boy Bryce Underwood looked terrible. Does that surprise you at all?
No, I mean, look, it takes a really special. I mean, I'm trying to think. Can you name and help me, because it's a legitimate question. Who's the last true freshman quarterback that we've seen that came for any team and just was a player, was right there as a freshman QB?
I mean, I'm sure there's been somebody since, but like Chad Henne was good when we played against him. He was a freshman, and I mean, he wasn't vomit. Now, he didn't beat us, but he beat a lot of teams. But as a true freshman, it's hard. I mean, Terrell. Terrell is good. I mean, he saved the season in 2008. If we don't put Terrell in, I don't know what happens to that team.
Yeah. Terrell was pretty good. Terrell was good.
So you'll at least give me Terrell, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they should have won the Fiesta Bowl if we didn't go blitz 0 and miss the tackle. So I mean, he would have been a bowl winning quarterback as a true freshman. Beat Michigan by 1,000 points. It was a terrible Michigan team, but
like one quarterback in like 17 years. I mean, it's hard, and I just don't think that fat guy up there in Michigan's going to be the savior that they think he is. But boy, they were terrible on offense. They actually ran a trick play, a like flea flicker reverse, so he in a scripted exchange at the end, so the game wouldn't finish 10-0. And he wouldn't finish with under 100 yards passing. So that's how bad it is for Michigan. And I think if you have a chance to hammer I think their line is 8.5 wins. I bet the under. But they're going to really struggle this year. Their schedule's not particularly challenging, but they're not going to be very good. And that's when you're not recruiting at a high level over a period of time, you don't have stability with your coaches, and your head coach is dumb as a box of red bricks. That you're just not going to be very good. I think this year they win 7. I think 7's the right number for them. But yeah, it's that game was not that game went exactly the way that I thought it would, and I can't wait to play against. I can't wait to see those guys play. I think that what they play at Oklahoma, like week 2 or something like that, that'll be a fun one.
Oh, so to run through their schedule, let's do this real quick. They play New Mexico. They'll beat them. Obviously, there's one win. They play Oklahoma at Oklahoma, which will be tricky. I mean, Oklahoma's losing.
They're not going to win
left and right.
They're not going to win at Oklahoma. That's an L for sure.
All right. Central Michigan win. At Nebraska, I think will be tough. I think Nebraska's going to be good next year. Wisconsin at Michigan. Wisconsin.
I think I'm going with Wisconsin in that game.
At USC, the next
loss.
Then they've got Washington comes to Michigan.
Yeah, maybe they squeak that one out.
At Michigan State, who's not very good.
I think I think Michigan State gets them next year.
Then they play Purdue at Michigan.
They'll win.
Then they play at Northwestern.
Win
that. Then they play at Maryland the week before they play the Buckeyes. So, yeah, I mean, if Oklahoma, SC, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, I could see under 7.5 easy.
Yeah,
easy, because Ohio State should rock them next year. That'll be great.
Oh yeah. Oop. I mean, look, it's one thing for minus 19 or 19-point underdogs to win games or something like that, but you don't want to make a living trying to do that. They're going to be big underdogs again next year, and hopefully the universe rights itself on its axis, and Ohio State gets that win.
Yeah, I agree. Nevada, who is, in your opinion, the most important transfer portal target right now? Is it David Stone? Is it Bo Atkinson? Is it a bigger defensive tackle? Like, what are your thoughts on this? I would love to get David Stone, especially after he's a 5-star multi-year kid. But what are your thoughts on that?
To me, it's Bo Atkinson. I think you're talking about a kid that had 7.5 sacks, and that's rare air. Our starting guys barely were in double digits. So I think he'd be terrific. He's a guy that can play up and down the line. I'm not as high on Kenyatta and on Gate than other people. And that's not, I just want to see more. Now, I think they're good, but I want to see them be able to hold up and be, Jack and JT were really good, really underappreciated, just stalwarts. And that's why they played so much. That's why we had games where they played every single snap. And people couldn't understand why they did that, because they were so much better than the backups. So now that we put the backups in, I want to see more out of the backups. I felt like I saw it out of Edric and out of Caden, but that's going to be a step down too from Tyleek and Ty Hamilton, who are both two terrific players. So, we've got questions, but to me, Bo Atkinson's the answer. In terms of the most important commitment, I've always thought we'll get 2. So why not get Bo Atkinson and then go get David Stone? I mean, I think Ohio State needs it. That's certainly the way they're presenting it out there with the agents and out there in the transfer portal. So I'll say 2 guys, but Bo Atkinson's the number 1 commitment for me that I want to see Ohio State get.
Yeah, and it looks like Demarion Thomas, the defensive tackle from Vanderbilt, has committed to Oklahoma State. So that just happened. So he's off the board, which again, that's fine. I mean, again, when you see some of these other guys coming on the board, he gets pushed down a little bit when David Stone comes available, and a couple other kids that are in, and there's still gonna be a few more guys I think that'll jump in, but he he's a monster. Like I said, there are some guys like David Stone would be a huge ad, especially given how young he is, because he's only going to be a true sophomore this year. So you're gonna have this guy you're gonna have for 2 to 3 years. At a position where you've got two young guys. I mean, if we could get him, you'd have as good of a trio of D tackles as there would be in the country, and they're young, and they'd have a year. You're talking about that 26 team. You have those 3 guys at D tackle. That's going to be terrifying. But yeah, I think that this is going to be a good test for Ryan Day because again, you've got to look at the production and you've got to really evaluate the character. And the good thing about some of these bounce backs like David Stone is that Larry Johnson has already talked to this kid a million times. He's got a big relationship with him. And that helps. I think that when you've got some guys that you've recruited for a long time, especially when it's only been a year, it's not like this is there's different levels to these 5 stars. Like there's a kid that like David Stone who was a 5-star a year ago, maybe the best defensive tackle in the country. That's way different than a kid that was a 5-star like 4 years ago. Like Zach Rice was like 3 years ago, and he never got on the field at Carolina. That is one major question marks, major why didn't it work out? Especially when you pick a mid team like North Carolina and you can't see the field there. Like, why would you think you could go up in the ranks? It'll be interesting to see where he lands, and if he's just trying to get one last dash of cash before he busts out and isn't an NFL draft pick. So yeah, it'll be very interesting. Nevada, as we get into this offseason, we got camps coming. Players they're home for Easter, which is always nice. Like this is like one of the nice things about getting the spring game done this past weekend is the kids all went home. They all went home this weekend so they can be with their families for Easter, which I think is important. But what are some things you're looking forward to hearing about, as they get into getting on the road, evaluating? Like I said, it's just so different with this extended staff, which is going to include Chris Carter around June-ish when he joins the staff. You've got 3 offensive line coaches. Obviously, Tyler Bunn's the guy that'll go on the road. But what are some of the things you're looking forward to hearing about as these guys are evaluating both portal players and high school kids?
Well, I mean, look, you look at that Demarion Thomas thing, and he enters the portal and then he ends up at Oklahoma State, which goes to tell you that he's probably wasn't on tape. Probably didn't show up as good as he might have looked just on our little recruiting papers in terms of need. If he ends up at Oregon, if he ended up at wherever else, big school USC, whatever, then maybe you're saying, hey, first rate talent. But Oklahoma State, that's certainly. I mean, I'm not sure that's a big step up from Vanderbilt. So, I'm not that worried about that. Now, as for Ohio State and what I'm looking for, I'm just looking for them to continue on this recruiting heater that they've been on, since the winning of the national championship. You've got this 2026 class is shaping up to be another terrific class, back to back to back for Ohio State. Ohio State in on some big kids. They've got some commitments scheduled. You got Womack that's scheduled in August. You've got Caden Dixon-White that the people from Ohio State feel like they're going to get him. And you're talking about adding Caden Dixon-White to a class with Chris Henry, and I mean it's kind of crazy to think about what the Ohio State team could be sitting with as they head into the summer and the fall. And I am not sure how we don't see it. We've talked about there not being any attrition in this portal window, but I can't believe that you're not going to lose somebody out of that wide receiver room. There's so much talent there, and there's so many guys that are jockeying for position. I would just be shocked if somebody doesn't come up here in the next little bit out of that wide receiver room, because there's just too many talented kids. And we've talked about many times how if you can't play, you can't get to the next level. So somebody who's buried on that depth chart has got to step out. Ohio State's been able to, now we're 5 or 6 days in the second portal window without anything. I just got to believe that somebody's going to step into the portal window. We'll probably hear about it in the next 24, 48 hours. I think that's got to happen. But for Ohio State, the train just keeps moving down the road. They're adding kids left and right, and lots of kids that are interested right now. And I just, like I said, I just want to see the 2026 class continue to keep the momentum. Coming off the national championship, coming off Ryan Day's extension, coming off the real ascension of Ohio State to the upper echelon of the college football world. We've been kind of knocking on the door, but Alabama kind of had that peg, on the top of the mountain, and I think we've knocked them off. I think we are the top program in college football right now, and I just want to see the recruiting continue to reflect that.
Yeah, and I don't really think it's close at this point, especially due to the balance of the teams that we've had. I mean, it's tough. Like last year, when we were operating at like full capacity with Josh Simmons and Seth McLaughlin, what side of the ball was better, the offense or the defense? And I mean, you could argue really for either, and that's not the same for most programs. Like when you go to Georgia, it's always the defense, and you come here, it's a legitimate argument. I mean, because our defense was dominating last year, and offensively, we were so talented and so deep and so explosive with such a great quarterback, and it's tough. I mean, that's the thing is, in terms of balanced programs with good culture, like this is, if you're serious about football, this is really the only place to go at this point, and that changes. That's fluid. I mean, there's times where when I was growing up, like Pete Carroll and USC would have been a place you'd consider, or Nick Saban in Alabama, or there were places that I could see why that kid would go there. But now we're the only S tier program. We're the only one at the top of the food chain, and we're widening the gap. That's the thing that's beautiful about the transfer portal is like we can add ammunition to the pile, and we're doing it. I mean, we go get Bo Atkinson because again, we're in on a lot of guys with Georgia. A lot of these D linemen, it's like us in Georgia. And Georgia's not going to get all of them, and we're not going to get all of them, but we're going to get some of them, and they're probably going to get some of them too. Once they take an end or two, they're not going to take 5 ends in the portal. And I love Bo Atkinson. I love his activity. I think he's really a great pass rusher. I think 7.5 sacks speaks for itself last year. So I like the ability to get to the quarterback. I think he'd probably start here. And I'm with you. I'm not going to bang on the kids like Kenyatta and Caden, but if those guys were in the draft this year, where would they go? 6th round, maybe 7th round, undrafted. I mean, just based on production, or where will they go next year? I mean, again, this is it's a big year for those two guys. Caden's undersized. Caden is one of the strangest evaluations I've ever watched because he's really active, and when he gets in, he gets to the quarterback. Somehow it's like magnetism. He gets sacks, he gets activity, he gets pass rush, does a really nice job. But is he big enough to hold up in the run game? That's the thing that kills him, is he's not very big. So you go against teams that run the ball, or if he's on the field, we're running right at that kid every time, wearing him out. So Kenyatta, a little different, 6'6". Kenyatta needs to be more physical. That's his biggest bugaboo. He's just not a physical kid. He's very talented. He's got long arms, 6'6". I wish he was heavier and he could play 3 technique, but he is what he is. He's an end, and I think that they worry about that bend and getting that pass rush, and I think that's why they're going after all these pass rushers. And you can't ever have enough pass rushers, and especially in a world where you can get as many as you need. But you add Bo Atkinson to the mix. Heaven forbid we get Bo Atkinson and Stone. Oh my God, it'd be the haul of the century. But I doubt that would happen, but that would be absolutely incredible for Ohio State, because then you really have some significant pass rushers added to the defense at the biggest position of need. Really, and honestly, it's the only position of need, because it's the only position the only position we've gone after are D tackle and D end, and a couple offensive tackles, which is incredible. I mean, it really speaks to the prowess of the recruiting, but not just the recruiting of Tim Walton and Brian Hartline and Carlos Laughlin and these guys that have rooms that don't even need to go after portal guys. It's also the fact that we've kept these guys in situations where I don't like some of these guys that are like the 4th or 5th guys in their room, and they'd be starting at other places. To keep them on the roster is an incredible job by Ryan Day and by these coaches. Cause when these kids all want to go play and they all want more money, and other schools could both give them more money and have them play, and they still stay here. It speaks volume about the culture, man. It's Mickey Marotti, the whole crew, because that is something that is something you need to monitor. Because like you're not going to see teams that are deep anymore, and this is an extremely deep Ohio State team across the board, minus defensive tackle. So real excited about what the team is going to turn into. Nevada, this is cranking along. As we get into the season, what do you think are a couple of the strengths that we're going to have? Because this is going to be, it's going to be interesting. Because with Julian saying there are a lot of people still skeptical of him, I'm kind of all, I'm not kind of, I am all in on him at this point because I think that he's got the talent. I think he's got a big summer. I think he's got, that, I think that spring game was a great springboard for his confidence going into the summer as a team leader. What are some things that you're looking forward to start camp, start the season? What needs to happen this summer for Ohio State to be another coast-to-coast #1 team?
Well, just like you said, Julian Sain just needs to continue to be the guy. I mean, I know it's not going to happen until fall. I know they're going to wait and do for obvious reasons, but when they can anoint him and really kind of designate him to be, QB1 and start, kind of building the offense around him, around his skill set, that's when he's going to really flourish because, they're going to continue to split reps with him and Lincoln for a long time, as long as they possibly have to one, get Lincoln ready, and two, keep Lincoln around. But I think once they do that with Julian, I think he's really going to take it to the next level because he's got that kind of ability and he's got that #1 quarterback in the country, 5-star, Southern California, classically trained quarterback pedigree. And I think as soon as they can kind of, formally recognize that and start, doing things with that, because this year it's an offense which in a lot of ways, we're not as good at running back as we were last year, but we may be better despite losing a guy like in Emeka, who's a potential first-round pick in the NFL draft. We might be better at wide receiver this year. With JJ coming up, we're certainly better at tight end. Could be better on the offensive line. So, our offense could take a step up. And while we've kind of, resigned ourselves to the fact that our defense is going to take a step back from being #1 in the country over the last 2 years, how far we'll see. But offensively, I just want us to, I want us to go back to being a juggernaut offensively. And I think it's the perfect storm for us to do that because we've got the perfect quarterback who's a fast processor, a distributor, a guy that can get the ball out. He's not a run first guy; he's a pass first guy. So he's looking to get the ball out to our formidable weapons. And you've got a offensive coordinator now in Brian Hartline who likes to pass the ball, but likes to pass the ball not only the wide receivers but the running backs into the tight end. So I really think this year in 2025. What we need the offense to step up and carry us somewhat like the defense did last year. And I think that we've got the pieces in place to do it, which is weird saying that with a quarterback that's never started before. But I think Julian's saying's him. And I think it's different when you've been at a college for a year and been able to go through all that he's gone through. He's gone through 2 spring footballs and, he went through an entire season, being coached up. I think it's different than being a true freshman. Even though he hasn't played, I think it's different. And I think Ohio State's going to be the benefactor of the fact that he's been around for a bit, seen a lot, been able to learn under Will Howard. And but we're only going to go as far as Julian Sain takes us. But I'm looking for the offense to take a step up and return to that kind of formidable top 5 in the country heights and carry us through 2025.
Yeah, I agree. You talk about Emeka, and this is something that we'll kind of get out here with. But how high would you draft Emeka Egbuka if you're a GM? Because, to me, I don't know how he's not a top 15 pick. I really don't. He does everything right. He's excellent in the slot. He can do it. He does everything. Can carry the ball. I don't understand how he's not a top 15 pick, especially after what Jackson Smith and Jigba did. Now, I don't think he's as athletic as Jackson is, but he's close. And he's, he can return value. I don't know. I mean, character is A plus plus. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, he's not J.J. Smith, so he's not that big Marmaduke on the outside, but he's a guy that's going to be super productive, super durable, super high character kid. Um, look, I think I personally think that he could go late first, but it's probably an early second round pick, but it's still high value, and those are certainly picks that are held in high regard by teams. But yeah, I think he's every bit of Jackson Smith. If you're a team and you see JSN and you're like, I like what he did for Seattle, I like what he contributes. That was a good pick. Then I think taking a Mecca is a no-brainer because I think those they're very very similar types of receivers, and you couldn't find a better kid or more upstanding person than a Mecca. Great teammate, and as you said, he can play special teams. He can return kicks. He can do a lot of. Brings a lot of versatility to it. So if I'm picking, that's the kind of kid I'm picking. But hey, that's why my team wouldn't have JJ McCarthy with a top 10 pick, and I'd have a lot of Buckeyes. So yeah, don't make me the GM of the team because it'd be the Buckeyes 2.0.
I mean, who do you think is going to be the first Buckeye drafted?
Josh Simmons. Josh has got it. Yeah, Josh is so good. It's got to be Josh.
It'll be interesting to see if Donnie sneaks into the first round because he's got a lot of hype around him right now, man. Donnie, he's flying up the boards. I mean, that's the thing. It's like when I talked the other day and people I was talking crazy, this could have been the best team ever. It's like if you have those guys both go first round, you've got a first round left side, you got a Remington winning center, right side efficient, but man, it's like I think I don't know. I'm just really super high on Emeka, and again, I don't know if it's the speed thing. Speed is important at receiver, but sometimes I mean, man, you draft some of these guys that can run and they can't do anything else except for run in a straight line. They can't run routes, and they can't remember the playbook. They can't do the right things, and I just think Emeka coming out of the system is going to be a monster in the NFL. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba made the Pro Bowl last year. Like he actually might be the best one out of the guys out of Garrett and Chris Olave and all those guys. Like Jackson's probably the best one. I mean, he's the first one to make a Pro Bowl, I believe. I don't know if Garrett made it his rookie year, but I don't think Olave made it yet. So pretty good. It's pretty rare air. So, well, Nevada, I think we can wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts as we head off into our Saturday nights?
Well, I had a question for you. On our bet with Yoder, on our draft bet, which is coming up here rapidly, was it 2,000 on top of the 500 that he'd already done, or was the 2,000 a raise from the 500 so it was 1,500 or more, or do we have two separate bets with him? Because my contention is we have two separate bets. How did you? I don't know the terms of your $2,000 bet with them. I just saw the 500.
I'm looking to see if I've got something with both of us on a text. So I thought we did a group text. Maybe I didn't. Am I crazy?
I don't know.
I don't think we have a group text. What's up?
He's a Michigan guy, so we gotta make sure that we have these terms there because they're kind of slippery. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Oh, they're very slippery.
Yeah, so we got to make sure we get this.
What was it? Was it 1,000? We did 1,000 each for.
Yeah, we did 1,000 because I know he did 500 on Twitter, I think, but he did that with Funky, and so Funky was asking me was the 2,000 on top of the 500 they has with Funky, and I said that would be my understanding.
Well, yeah, I mean ours was 1,000 each between me and you. We each had separate bets of 1,000. What was it? Over 14. 13. Yeah. So we have to get 14 guys drafted, which will be a cakewalk. It comes down to Lathan Ransom or Cody Simon not getting drafted because the rest are just lead pipe locks. When you go from, again, we've done this march down in our head where we've gone Will, the two running backs, the three offensive linemen are going to get drafted. I don't think Josh Fryer is going to get drafted. I'd love for him to get drafted, but he's probably an undrafted free agent. There's 6, Emeka 7. Then the 40 lineman is 11. Cody Simon is 12. Denzel Burke is 13. Lathan Jordan Hancock 14, 15. Yeah, I mean, I don't see how that doesn't happen. I really don't.
Yeah, we
Easy
just need to
money.
get we need to get clarity. But yeah, big draft coming up on Thursday, so it's going to be a busy week, and we got Bo
All right, so
Atkinson in.
I'm gonna send a group text right now between me, you, and Yoder, so just so we
Okay,
can clarify everything, and you're gonna be on it, and this isn't gonna be a
exactly.
Kirk,
Yeah,
did
the
you do
over
this? This is gonna be
the
a
over
we all did this together.
13. It was
The
13 the over under there, and I just want to make sure you
in
didn't try to
terms
slip
of
out.
the bet for the draft over, so we're saying over 13
13th,
Buckeyes
13th a push, 12 he
drafted.
wins, we win.
Yeah,
Exactly.
13 push, 12 Yoder wins,
Yes.
14 Kirk and Nevada
Yes.
win,
Or
and then we did 1,000 between Kirk and Yoder, 1,000 between and Yoder. Okay, so I'm putting all this in a group text, and we'll see if he runs. I don't think he will, because he's the guy that proposed it.
I know.
I
No,
mean,
yeah, we did. Yeah, we'll hunt him down
yeah,
on this.
we will
But
hunt him down like a little Wolverine that he is. All right, so I just sent in
yes,
a group text, so make sure you chime into that. So we are chasing Yoder to the ends of the earth to get our money, because this is going to be a slam dunk, and I'll
yeah,
spend it on mine. I'll buy beers for anybody at the next meetup that shows up, and it'll be a great time. So our meetups are always an absolute blast. So I appreciate you. All right, Nevada, any other thoughts, and we can wrap this thing up.
yeah. No portal action this week. We'll see if anybody's going out from Ohio State, which I suspect is going to happen. If anybody's coming in, hopefully we're going to get two on the defensive line. But the next 24, 48 hours will tell a lot of the story. So stay tuned.
Yep, let's get the bankroll rolling, baby. All right. With that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you guys for being a huge part of our show. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Make sure you subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you guys so much for doing that. That has been a huge help for us growing the show. And leave a 5-star review. Again, we have a lot of trolls that leave us 1-star reviews, so leave us a 5-star review to offset the idiotic trolls that don't like us, because we usually beat the tar out of them every day in both views, ratings, and size of our message board. So not a good day for them, but a great day for us. So hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. We will see you guys tomorrow. We will probably work around the Cavs game. I'll check and see what time that is. So it might be an early afternoon show, because again, we don't want to go against the Cavs. We both want to watch the Cavs. So keep your eyes peeled tomorrow evening for the show. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you, Scoop family. I hope you guys have a great Saturday night. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a good night. Go Bucks.